Thank you for coming in the room. Miss Bonnie, thank you for coming in the room. I want you to private DM me, if you will, please, and give me your address so I can send you a copy of the free book. You've been following me for a few days now, and I appreciate that. So please do inbox me privately, not on here live, because I don't want to disclose your information personally to anybody. And this is at no cost to you, darling, so do please send it to me, and I will get it into the post as soon as possible. The reason I'm here, as some of you are aware, is mental health awareness and suicide prevention. The big poster behind me is a training board for all medical staff and emergency services now, to train them that, you know, mental health is a serious situation and people are dying from it, basically. And unfortunately, the young man behind me is my son, and his mental health got the better of him, and he took himself out of this world, and he left devastation behind him. And that's the reason why I'm here, to raise awareness and hopefully to try and help prevent another family. You're welcome, Bonnie. You know, I've been watching you for a few days now, and I'm grateful that you've come into my room and you're following me, because it is a sad situation, but it's one that needs to be discussed. Things won't change if people don't talk. And I always say to people, you know, even if it's just 5 minutes of your time, because I've noticed when you're walking down the street, people will just walk past somebody who's in distress and, oh, I'm not getting involved. Now, if that had been one of your members of your family, would you say the exact same thing? No, you wouldn't. You know, and compassion and empathy doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you a dime. But its value is worth so much more. Welcome into the room, Rose. Thank you for joining. I'm here because I just want to raise awareness. Now, the books behind me, I've actually written all those. I don't know, it's a healing thing. You know, one of the things I do like to do is write. And I always say, if you can put pen to paper, write your story, because everybody's life is like a book. You don't know what chapter you're in until you actually live in that chapter. At the moment, I'm actually living the chapter where I'm trying to raise awareness of mental health and suicide prevention, and it is an important message to get out there. There's so many on here, I've noticed, who are struggling with mental health, and there's so many people on here who's gone through the same thing as me, losing a child to unaliving themselves. If only somebody had just reached out and helped him, you know, and it would have been a different scenario. It would have been a hell of a different story to tell. But like 2 years, well, it should have been published 2 years ago, but unfortunately, thank you, Bonnie. I do try to stay strong, darling, and I've had a few tears this morning because I took us on a journey up to what I call Heaven Gate this morning to present my son with his book at his grave. And it was quite important for me to do that because he asked me 4 years ago, before he did what he did, Mum, will you help me to write my book? Because he wanted to help other people with mental health issues. But sadly, it took a dark turn. I was in the process of writing his story when it went down a dark road, and it's one that he never recovered from. And I'll be honest with you, I'm extremely angry at Manchester Police because his neighbour tried to get him help 3 times within a 3-hour window, and nobody turned up because it was a mental health issue. And hang on a minute, their excuse was they didn't know his name and they didn't know his date of birth. Well, you still turn up to somebody's house if they need some help. You can find that information later on down the line. If somebody's in distress, they need help immediately, not 15 hours later when it's too late. Thank you, Bonnie. I really do appreciate those kind words. And it's those type of kind words that keep me going. You know, I know seems strange, but you guys are helping me to heal because I'm offloading that pain. You know, I'm not carrying it around as one of the other things because I worked in mental health, and I also worked in palliative care, which is the other side of it. And I was never able to go back to work after what my son did because it just totally knocked me for 6. Thank you for joining in. We're on here talking about suicide prevention and Wrinkle, Wrinkle Like a Star. I've never heard it put that way, Jeezy, but thank you for that one. It made me smile. Now, I'm just here for really to help others. I don't know what time I've got left in this lifetime, but I'm damned if I'm going to go to my grave when I've not done anything to try and help other people. You know, it's something that I really do have a passion about. All my working life, I've always been a carer. Even as a kid, I was always looking after my siblings and running around after them, helping them. But that's me. That's my personality. Helping others is, you know, somebody once told me, an angel came walking through the door one day when I walked it because they were in distress, and it was during one of my visits as a palliative care worker. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, well, you've walked through the door, and immediately lifted that dark cloud off her, which really that was quite a really honourable thing to have to listen to. And I said, I'm not an angel, I just care. You know, that it doesn't cost anything to care. Thank you, Silver Bear. Thank you for those kind words. You know, that is why I do what I do, and this is why I'm here on this app at my age. And, you know, I would never have thought a day that I would ever do this, but this is where my life has led me down this road, and this is why I do what I do. And it's all because of my son. You know, he changed the system. He's no longer here to benefit from it, but I'm hoping others will. On any emergency call, it's not automatically, because one of the things I found out during the investigation, and it still just goes over my head, this, because I couldn't really grasp what they were saying, but they were saying that they haven't got access to System 1, whereas as a palliative care worker, we do. We have access to System 1. On System 1, all your information is held there from the day you're born. You know, and it's easily accessed by emergency services such as the police and the ambulance. But on this particular occasion, I found out that the ambulance service don't have access to it, which I found really quite shocking. I thought, well, if we as an organisation have access, why has the emergency services not got access? And that was one of the things I wanted to change. And I did change it because my son's story is now used as a training tool. It trains up all emergency health care workers who are working in the offices and answering your calls for help. not to ignore a mental health crisis call. It's not automatically put into a green code because it's like a traffic light. You've got green, amber and red. Well, green is non-urgent cases. Well, usually that's what they were doing, putting mental health into non-urgent cases. But it shouldn't have been put there. Mental health is a serious situation, and it's a life-threatening situation when somebody has a mental breakdown and they're crying out for help. And that's exactly what my son was doing that night. He went to his neighbour, although in his mental state of mind, and he was still trying to get help, and nobody came. And that's what really shocked me, the fact I, as a carer, know what the protocol is and what they should have done. And that's why I am so adamant that I'm on here. Some of the family members don't like the idea of me being here and exposing myself, but I'm sorry. As much as I love my family, I need to do what I need to do to help other people. You know, it's not going to bring my son back. But if I can stop one family ever going through that pain and that trauma, then I've done my job. That's how I look at it. I've done my job if I can get one person not to do what my son did. You know, and his story is now out on Amazon. You can actually have a look on Amazon Kindle, and you can purchase his book on there. It's on ebook. It's also paperback, although I wasn't too keen on the paperback one. I prefer the hardback, but that's my preference. And then there's the hardback, and it's called, basically, They Could Have Saved Me, and they could have. Thank you, Bonnie. Please do remember to send me a private inbox so I can get you one of these signed copies, because I'm going to be signing it and sending it to you in the post. And that's what I want to do. I've got 10 of his books, but I've got other books that I'd like to send out as well, because they've all got a message in there. One is about going through the system of being in children's homes and the abuse and the situations that some kids go through as in that one. And that one's called I Thought I Knew You. The other one is about situations of somebody in a workplace situation where one of the bosses took a dislike to a person and they were trying to get them dismissed from their job. And it turned out that everything that they were saying they were totally innocent of. And they outstayed their own boss because the boss left before they did. So there is some justice in the world, you know, and it's just how you deal with it. Thank you for that, Silver Bear. Thank you for watching me. Like I said to you, one of the reasons I'm here is on a personal note, is to raise awareness and obviously send out a few free books out to people, which I will be signing. And for those who are really looking for some support, please just follow me. I'm here to help. Sometimes all you need is somebody to listen to your problems, and it halves that problem. You know, it doesn't mean that it's got to be monetary things all the time, because it doesn't. You know, it takes a strong person to go through what I've gone through. And there's a lot of families out there have gone through the same situation, and instead of me sitting there feeling sorry for myself and grieving, I turned it around. You know, on the days I was going to the coroner's courts and hearings and everything, I was coming home and I was straight on my typewriter and on my laptop, as I should say, and documenting everything, because it was I didn't want to forget something and put it in the wrong place or misinterpret something, because I knew my mind was all over taking in all this information, and I just wanted to make sure it was out there. You know, people need to know the devastation it causes. But I've had to write so many letters of complaints to different organisations to get it changed. One of them was getting my son's story raised in the Houses of Parliament, and it was raised in the Houses of Parliament. And the other thing is, I've wrote in his book is, you know, information in there to help people who have in a mental health crisis. It's not really something that any family should ever have to go through, to be fair. It's not. But let me just get his book. This is his book, and I actually went to his grave today, because even though it's taken 4 years to get to this point, it should have actually been published nearly 2 years ago. But I entrusted a publishing company supposedly to try and get it out there done professionally. And it turns out that this publishing company was a scam all along. And I can't name them by name because they're under investigation, and I don't want to jeopardise any court case against this company, because what they did was absolutely evil. You know, I don't know why people are so evil. I know that people are struggling, but you don't do shit like that. I'm sorry, you don't. They knew that my son's story was important to me and that I was a grieving mum, but they decided to do what they did. So I ended up having to write a letter formal, because I still wanted to make sure they didn't have any rights to my son's book at all. So I had to write a termination and get back all my rights to my son's book. Yeah, it was awful, Bonnie, honest to God. You know, I was sitting there and because how it happened is I actually phoned the company, because within the contract it said they would have it published within 12 months. And I said, okay, fine. I paid my money over to them, waited for them to do what they were supposed to do. And I phoned the company and said, oh, hang on a minute, we're 27 months down the line. Where's my son's book? And the message I got was, don't phone us. And this was a message by email. And I'm, hang on a minute, where's the customer service here? I'm paying you to do a job. If I want to phone that company and find out what's happening with my son's book, then I will bloody well phone them. And that's what I got back is an email telling me not to phone them. So, and within the same day, I received another email from them, which says protection of contract. I thought, hang on a minute, what the hell's going off here? So I phoned Trading Standards to find out what the hell's going on, because I'm not legally minded. I'm a care worker, not a bloody barrister or solicitor. So I phoned them up, and they went off the line and came back. And they said, we're sorry to tell you, Veronica, but this company has been flagged as a scam. I just broke down crying. 2.5 years down the line, and they've just had me dangling like a piece of string. And how evil can people be? That's awful. But I did get it back. I got it back about 3 weeks ago. I got the manuscript back. I had to sit at the computer for 14 hours solid to get it back, right? But I did get it back. And I decided I was going to just keep it myself and publish myself. So it may not be up to everybody's scratch as a professional published book, but that's not the reason I've done it for. I've done it to help others. You know, there's a story to be told. And this one here is very close to my heart because it's my son's story. You know, he unalived himself, but he was only crying out for help, and that's what the coroner said to me, Veronica, your son was crying out for help. There's a window of opportunity there to save his life, but unfortunately things didn't go the way they were supposed to go. Yeah, that's right, Bonnie, honestly. I do try to help myself. One of the things I do, Silver Bear, is document. I write, I offload, and that's my tool. If I was to sit here and just ponder around in my head and in my heart all the time, I think I would have a mental breakdown myself. I really would. But my tool is to offload. I write things down, and that's what I've done with his book. I've offloaded that pain. I turned it from a negative to a positive. And I'm just hoping other people who purchase the book get some help and comfort from it, because it's a sad story. It all started when he was 15 and he was at the Hillsborough disaster in Liverpool. And that's when his mental health started to really surface, because of witnessing that carnage of over 90 people dying, you know, in a football match. It was horrendous. And then he, at 17, one of his school friends, she committed suicide. And then he lost his own first child at 19. I said he was too young to be a dad, but he was certainly too young to have to find his firstborn son dead in a cot. And that was it. He was never, ever the same guy again. He totally changed his personality, everything. He came home to me one day and he says, Mum, I'm so angry and I don't know why. I feel like smashing everything up. And I just looked at him. I said, if it's going to take away that pain, darling, then smash it. And he did. He went through my house like a tornado. I just sat there and watched him and let him get that aggression out, because I would rather him smash up a TV in a cabinet than go outside and smash somebody's head in. You know, and that's the way I looked at it. And when he'd finished, he just fell to the floor with exhaustion, crying, and he said, Mum, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I just hugged him. I said, it's okay, darling, it's okay. And he ended up in hospital for 3 months on a mental breakdown. But like I said, he was never, ever the same kid. You know, it's something he should never have had to go through. And I can't honestly... Hi, darling, welcome back in the room. And I can honestly say that until this point, until he did what he did, taking himself out of this world, I can honestly now say I know what he really felt. You know, it's hard. It's hard to know that you've lost a child. Although he was a grown man, he was still my son. You know, he was the one that made me a mom. And life without him is hard. I shouldn't have to be going to a graveyard and visiting. I really shouldn't. For 30 years now I've been going to that same graveyard, visiting my grandson, putting flowers on his grave every day, every week. But now I'm going up visiting both my grandson and my son. It is hard, Silver Bear. You know, it's one of the hardest things a mother or father would ever have to go through. You know, we bring them into this world, we try and love them and give them guidance and be there for them. Yeah, we make mistakes along the way, but nobody gave you the tools when you were made a mum or a dad. You had to learn how to be the parent. You know, it's not easy at all. But this is why I'm here. And I like, people can come and talk to me whenever they want to in here. You know, I have a page on Facebook, and it's called Let's Talk, and it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know. Thank you for that, Bonnie. You're a wonderful little lady. Thank you for that. Thank you for your kind words. I've got another thing up my sleeve that I plan on doing, because there's some really lovely people out in Spain that I intend to go and see. And we're going to do a live podcast while I'm over there. And I'm doing it solo. I'm a brave lady. You know, I don't need to be held by the hand. I can do things myself. I'm a very strong person inside. I've had to be. Thank you for joining, Jasmine. If you could keep tapping on the screen, because it does help to get the algorithms up and getting other people in. I don't know why, but that's how it works. I'd just like to get as many people in as possible and reach as many people as possible and try and save lives. You know, that's why I'm here. But like I said, I've got a few things up my sleeve that I intend to do. Because I'm dreading Christmas, because my son unalived himself on the 28th of December 2020. So Christmas has never felt the same to me. But I do have to make an effort because I've got grandchildren. So I'm going to get Christmas out of the way, and then I'm going to, my birthday's in January, so I've decided I'm just taking myself away for 2 weeks on my own, and I'm going to do this podcast with these people over in Spain. So watch this space. It should be fun. I'm going to do a little bit of live conversations over there as well, so people can follow me on my journey. But this is why I'm here. Oh, thank you, Silver Bear. I don't need no presents. Honestly, all I need is to make sure that people are safe and that they're not going to do something silly, because you don't want to be in that grave. Your parents, your mum, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, your uncles, your kids, they all need you. I know it's a dark place to be in with mental health, but we've got to help you to pull you back out of that dark corner. You know, that's what I'm here for, to try and help. You know, and I really do hope people will follow me on this journey. It's not easy. I'll be honest with you, it's not easy. But hey ho, that's life. We have to get on, as my mother would say, pick yourself up, dust yourself down and get on with it. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I know my mum's watching over me. You know, certain things that you sense them when they're around you. And I do sense that my son's around me a lot. He may have left this world, but his spirit still lives on. And his voice lives on through me. You know, that's one thing I said in my book. They didn't listen to your cries for help, darling, while you were here, but they'll damn well listen to it now, because I'm making sure I'm raising my voice. I'm speaking out. And I'm making sure people are okay. You know, if it means my son's story is out there public and it's going to save lives, then so be it. You know, that's what his last wishes were. Mum, please tell my story. And it's took me 4 years to actually achieve that because of this damn publishing company scamming me. You know, I should be sitting here grieving, but my focus was on getting his story out there. That's all I focused on. You know, like I said, I turned a negative into a positive. Thank you for that, Silver Bear. Now, it's not been an easy road, but I'm getting there. Every day is a new day, and that's the way I look at it. Thank you for joining, Ali. I appreciate your gifts. Thank you. All of those people who are sending me gifts over, I'm not here for gifts. One gift I would like is somebody to stay alive. Don't go and do what my son did. You're welcome, Bonnie. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Like I said, darling, please do not forget to send me your address so I can get this book in the post to you. This is my gift to the community too. You see, he left a gift of teaching people empathy and compassion costs nothing. And his story is now being told across the globe through me. Whereas now his story has been used to train staff. So they don't automatically put somebody in the green zone. Mental health is a serious situation. If it's not dealt with quickly, it could cost somebody's life. And if that one call comes in where there's a threat to suicide, it automatically goes into red. And a lot of people don't realise that the ambulance service don't have right of entry. They cannot break in to somebody's property. Only the police have the lawful powers to do that. And that's a misconception. People that are phoning an ambulance, they can't break in. They can't. It's the police that you need to get in. And they're the only ones who can actually break into a property to allow the ambulance services to enter. And it's sad that it's that weird situation, but that's how the law is. So you've got a very fine line. Yeah, absolutely. This is why I insisted that my son's story was raised in Parliament, because it's absolutely awful. The way I look at it, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, where you live in the world. Mental health has no borders and it has no racial preference. It doesn't matter. People are suffering from mental health issues across the globe, and all our leaders need to stop messing about with people's lives. You know, it's just a really sad situation. I'm going to invite you in to talk to me, Amanda. I bet she goes offline now. I'm going to invite you in, Amanda. See, we've all got a story to tell, and this is the way. What I like to do is offload all this information so people can get an insight into life in general, really. That's why I'm here. You know, and if any of you want to ask me a question, please do. You know, I'm always honest and open, and if I haven't got the answer, then we'll try and find it for you. Thank you for joining Pride and Gypsy. It's nice to see you here. I'm really raising a lot of awareness on mental health and everything here. Thank you for liking my life. It's been an interesting day, really, because, like I said, I've been up to the cemetery today to present him with his book. That was one promise I made, that I would get it done, and I have got it done. It's been a tough road. One of the things I've written in here is a poem, and it is called I Came to Have a Peep. Because one of the things I do like to do is write poetry as well. Let me have a look which one is it in. So you've got I came to have a peep. I want to read that one out to you because that one always touches my heart, that one does. I came to have a peep. I stood by your bed last night. I came to have a peep. I could see that you were crying and found it hard to sleep. I spoke to you softly as you brushed away a tear. It's me. I'm well. I'm fine. I'm here. I was close to you at breakfast and watched you pour your tea. You were thinking of many things and the memories of me. I was with you at the shops today. Your arms were very sore. I longed to take your parcels. I wish I could do more. I was with you at my grave today. You tended it with such care. I want to reassure you that I'm no longer there. I walked with you towards the house as you fumbled for your keys. I gently put my hand on you and smiled and said, it's me. You looked so very tired and sank into a chair. I tried so hard to let you know I was standing there. It's possible for me to be so near to you every day, to say to you with certainty I never went away. You sat there very quietly and then smiled on thinking of me. In the stillness of the evening, I was very close to you. The day is over. I smile and watch you yawn and say good night. God bless. I'll see you in the morning. And when the time is right, you'll cross that brief divide and I'll rush across to greet you and we'll stand side by side. I have so many things to show you. There's so much to see. Be patient. Live your life out and come home to me. That's one of the poems I've wrote. When my grandson died, 30 years ago actually, he would have been 30 now, I wrote a poem and entered it into a competition of International Society for Poetry. And it won, and it was entered into a book. And the book is called Sleeping Winds, but it then went on to win an award, which I was, how they found me, I don't know, because I'd moved house several times before this letter arrived, but they did. And invited me over to Chicago to pick up this award and said whatever I wrote would be guaranteed to be published. Well, at the time I was a single parent trying to raise a family on limited funds, so I couldn't really afford to go and get it. But just knowing I'd been offered it was enough for me. You know, that was just enough for me. Thank you, Josh, for coming into the room. And this is why I'm here, to get a message out there, whichever way I can. And hopefully it will help others. You know, it will prevent people from doing unaliving themselves and committing suicide. There is help out there. And I have actually written information within his book of all the organisations that you can contact if you have a mental health breakdown or crisis. That this is one of the things I wanted to make sure that was included in here, so people can actually know where to contact and who to contact it's, but as I've said, thank you for your gift, Josh. It's really appreciated it. Thank you very much. I'm actually going to be gifting so many books and with a signed copy to certain people who come into the room. I've already picked one lady this morning, and the other day I picked another lady, and she received hers in the post yesterday, which she let me know, which was absolutely marvellous. And I just hope that it helps other people. I really do. This is why I'm here. This is what I want to do. My calling in life is being a carer. All my life I've worked in palliative care, I've worked in mental health. I've always helped other people. That was my calling in life. But one of the things I will say to you is, years ago, when I was only around about 8 or 9, we had a really bad winter. And there's a pond frozen down at the bottom of the street where we lived. Kids were out there using it as an ice ring. But some bigger kids decided they were going to cut a big square in the centre of the pond. And I didn't notice it, and I went straight on there, and I went straight under the ice. And there was a guy, an elderly gentleman, he must have been in his 70s, seen me go under the ice. He pushed the ice down and pulled me back from under the ice, wrapped me in his coat and took me home. How the hell he knew where I lived, I don't know, because I was in shock. I wasn't speaking or anything. But he did. He knew where I lived. And on his way walking me home, he turned around and he said, "It's not your time yet, girl. You've got things to do." And those words always stuck in my head. When my middle son became ill one day, I had a voice come in my ear. And I always say that it must have been him, because he was my guardian angel that day. He saved my life, or else I wouldn't be here to tell the tale. And the voice came in my head when I'd been to work one day. It was really quite a stressful day because one of my patients had died, and obviously the trauma that the family were going through and having to support them at that time. So I was physically and mentally drained that day, and I came home. I got myself into bed, and just as I was laying my head down, I heard this voice saying, "Veronica, go and check on Mark." I wasn't going to ignore the voice. I got up, I got dressed, I drove over to where he lived. Bearing in mind he was a grown man, and knocked on the door, and his partner opened the door, and she was quite surprised to see me there because it was about midnight. And when I actually went into the house, I went straight up to the room, and I said to him, "Mark, get in the car," and he wouldn't. "That'll be all right, Mum." I said, "Mark, get in the goddamn car." I wasn't even going to wait for an ambulance. I took him down to the hospital, and the consultant and the nurses and everybody were milling around him. And the doctor came over to me and said, "Veronica, if you hadn't brought him in tonight, he would have died." My son was in hospital 7 weeks fighting sepsis. And it has left him with some damage. He was warned that it had damaged his heart, and he has to be very careful, because if he ever got sepsis again, it would definitely take him the next time. He wouldn't survive it. So he phoned me and says, "Mum, you brought me into this world, you better come and pick me up." And that was 7 weeks down the line at midnight. I took him in at midnight and I brought him home at midnight. Now that's weird. But sadly I wasn't able to do that for my eldest son, because he lived in Manchester. If he had lived in the town where I live, it would never have happened. I would have got to him quick enough. It would never have happened. But thank you all of you for joining me today. Yeah, I've always said I've got a guardian angel. I ignored that voice once in my life, and I swore I would never ever ignore it again, and I won't. I won't ignore it. You know, it's we all have a guardian. We come into this world with a guardian, and we'll definitely be leaving with one. And I do believe in that. You know, there's too many things have happened in my life not to believe it. I've seen, it's like I'll tell you a story. I was with the hospice, and I was sent to a patient. Now, this patient, for some reason, had cancelled, so I ended up being redirected to another patient. And I'd not been to this patient, so it was a fairly new one. And I drove to where they were living, and I entered into the house. The two daughters were there, and there was an elderly gentleman. Well, he wasn't elderly; he was very frail because he had cancer. And she was talking, and there was just something she said that triggered a memory in my head. And I said, "Have you got any photographs of your dad when he was younger?" And she pulled out the photograph, and I recognised him straight away. Now, I didn't recognise this guy because obviously he'd got older. There's a lot of things happened in his life, and he was end-stage life with cancer. So it had taken its toll on his body. And she looked at me and she says, "We already know about you, Veronica." "No." "What do you mean you already know about me?" And she says, "Well, Dad always used to talk about you." And I do this guy I knew when we were younger, a hell of a lot younger, before we even had kids. And he let it be known to me that he had a soft spot for me. But sadly, I was already involved with my children's father, who I later went on to marry. So we went different directions in our life, on different pathways. But for some reason, it had brought me back to him on the time when he needed me. And his daughter did turn around and she says, "It's like he's been waiting for you all his life. Now you're here. He can go." And he did. He died that day. But it was so sad that I'd only actually come back into his life at the last moment. But he held on to my hand. So he carried that love all them years. You know, yes, he married and had children, but he carried on that love, and that's something that can never die. Love can never die. And that is a really true story. A lot of the things I write about fact-based things, situations. I've met a lot of wonderful families, a lot of wonderful people. And there's some really sad ones as well. One in particular that comes to mind is an elderly lady and her husband. Her husband had cancer, and she'd had breast cancer a few years earlier, but she survived it. But her husband was end-stage life, and there was and because she never had any children, she unfortunately she never had children. And there was a gentleman out in the garden doing the gardening, and it was just something she said to me that set alarm bells in my head. And she said, "Well, I can't talk to you about it." And I said, "Why?" "Hi, Lulu. Thank you for coming back in the room, darling." I said, "Why?" She says, "I'm scared." And I said, "What are you scared of?" And then she started explaining that this gentleman that was in her garden had forced her husband to change his will because they were retired antique dealers. So they had a lot of valuable stuff in their house. And they had a beautiful bungalow, absolutely gorgeous bungalow. And as soon as she said that, "Oh, please don't say anything, I'm scared." I said, "Look," I said, "you've opened up to me about something that I can't sit by and not do anything about. If this guy is mistreating you in any way, or even financially, then I have a legal bound to report. And that's exactly what I did. I reported it straight away, and I documented it within his files, what his wife had actually just said to me. Now, social services stepped in straight away, and so did the police. But even though about a year later there was an investigation into this person, and it turns out he was still trying to claim everything, because it ended up his wife, when he died, she decided to take unalive herself. She couldn't bear to be without him, and she, unbeknownst to this guy, she did actually have family. She had sisters and nieces and nephews. So because I'd actually documented that conversation, it prevented him from trying to claim the estate, which you've got to be very careful of. No, I don't like people who try to deceive others. There's no need for it. I hate people who con people or steal off others. That's not in my nature to do that. It goes against everything in me. But those are the sort of stories I write about. There's a book here. I know Lulu's on. Lulu, can you remember when I said to you, because Lulu is a healthcare worker and we've crossed paths many times, and I said to you I was going to dedicate that book to all you health workers, and I did. Every single one of you, because you've worked bloody hard. It's not easy being a care worker and going into complete strangers' houses and helping them. But those are the type of things that I write about. Yeah, see, you remember. Well, it took me down a different path, girl. I went down another direction, where I've ended up writing 5 books all total. And I think I'm on to my next one, because I've got another story to tell. Well, this one's really sad, but that one will be later down the line. I'm trying to convince her to do it, because she needs to get it off her chest, really. Yeah, I know. We've been in some awkward situations. Yeah, I remember those. I really do. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to come off the live now. I've got a few things I need to do. I might come back on later on tonight. I don't know yet. But I just wanted to let you know I'm here and I'm thinking about you all, and hopefully my book will help others. And it is a sad story, but it's Brian's story. He asked me when he was here, why do I have to do a puzzle? Why did they do that? Why do you have to do a puzzle while you're on live? I don't get that. Is that just to make sure you're still real? Hi Barry, thank you for coming in. I was just going to go off there, but that puzzle thing's thrown me off a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys get on with your day. Have a wonderful day, but do have a look out for his book on Amazon. So it is there to help people with mental health and suicide prevention. So please do have a look at it. It's called They Could Have Saved Me by Phoebe Harper. And I do hope it helps, because there's a lot of information in there with coroner's hearings and all the rest of it, and the police records. I couldn't document it all because of legal reasons. I had to only pick parts of it out. but it's all in there. Everything's in there. And hopefully I'll speak to you later. So have a wonderful afternoon wherever you are, and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for joining me. Bye.